What's happening, guys? Welcome to another episode of Comic Book Weekly. We got some fun news to discuss. Of course, it's that Spider-Man news, but we'll get to that later on. First, we do the quick introduction. We have Brant from Only Good Comics,
What's up, everybody?
and then of course, we have Kat from
Hello.
Comic Uno. And yeah, it's going to be a fun show. I'm sure you guys will have your opinions, of course, of the new spectacular brand new Spider-Man, whatever it's called, and some of the other news as well. And then we got some good comics to talk about this week, which I'm excited to discuss with you guys and see
too.
where we all stand with that, right?
I agree. It's gonna be fun.
Mhm.
All right, let's get in some news. And honestly, like as of recently, there's been a lot more news coming out than there has been in the past. So it's cool to see. I think they've been better with their solicits and actually giving it to news outlets and being like, "This is new. We should talk about it." So let's start with the only media news that came out this week that we wanted to talk about, which was Spider-Man Noir trailer. And you know, I read the Spider-Man Noir way back in the day, and I wasn't a huge fan of the original comic. But the original comic is nothing like this. So
Hmm.
this is very much Nick Cage being Nick Cage. I'll say if you're a Nick Cage fan, go check this out. If you are just a Spider-Man fan or a Spider-Man Noir fan, it might not be exactly what you expected.
Yeah, it's like he didn't get to be Superman, but we'll
Sure.
give you Spider-Man. Um, yeah, it was totally Nick Cage being Nick Cage, like you said, and I the same. I read the original Man Noir, and I thought it was an interesting kind of take on the character, but at the same time, I wasn't a huge fan of it, and I'm not reading the current thing that's going on either. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, that's fine and everything, but I'll check this out just because it's different and, I think it's gonna be on Prime, and it's Nick Cage, and it's like, okay, I gotta see what this is all about, and
I liked it in black and white too.
yeah, yeah, I like that they did it that way, yeah, but go ahead.
But yeah, I think it's gonna be like you said, like it's Nicolas Cage and his acting is just goofy sometimes, and it's
Yeah.
just,
And he played
but
up
it
the
is
goofy in the
Yes, he did.
trailer.
Yes,
yeah,
he did.
it's just it's like it's almost like one of those like cheesy like horror flicks or something like that. But this is gonna be like again, a detective noir series, so or movie, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll probably check it out.
Cool. That is the media news. So we are going to move into comics. We were just chatting about it and it was announced today. So I'll start with it. Ghost Machine has unveiled their new series, which what's fun about Absolute Comics and Ghost Machine, the more successful direct market comic books, they haven't been releasing so quickly. They've been doing it very slowly because what was the last? It was, I think, Hornsby and Halo, right? That was the last
Yeah, I think
series.
so.
And that was a while ago. That was like over a
Yeah,
year ago. And now
right.
they are doing a new one. And this series is called The Unbelievable. No, I'm sorry. The series itself is called The $1 Trillion Kid. And then the crossover between all of them are going to be called The Unbelievables. Now, it's not the Geigers and the Redcoats, the kind of bigger titles from Ghost Machine. It is their kind of, I call friendly series like
Sure.
Rockefellers and Hornsby and Halo. This series is being co-written by Jeff Johns and Tomasi though. So it's I don't think they don't co-write anything else. So this is going to be their kind of brainchild. I mean, I'll give it a shot, but I'm not reading any of those titles. I think the closest I got was Hornsby and Halo, but it didn't hook me enough to continue to pick it up. So I'll try out the new series, but I don't know if I'll try out the crossover. But Brant, you do read all the titles.
Yeah, yeah, and Hornsby and Halo is the one that I kind of fall behind on and then have to catch up with it, so I totally get that. But I think this is interesting because the $1 Trillion Kid is this 13-year-old the world's first ever trillionaire, and he figures out who the Hornsby and Halo are. He's been tracking these events and everything, and I guess I don't know about the Rockefellers, but he's been tracking these events and he figures it out. So he's put together a way to kind of uh, you know kind of unveil them or find out who they are and that kind of thing. So I think that's interesting. That's an interesting intro to it, into these new characters that are going to pop up in that series. So and it's a cool way to link those two titles, the Rockefellers and Hornsby and Halo, which I really like the Rockefellers. It's kind of your Fantastic Four kind of book in their universe. So I think it's interesting. It'll be interesting to kind of see like the time travelers meet the supernatural, meet this rich kid, presumably with friends in high places or tech or who knows what they're going to throw at us. But I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I don't read Hornsby and Halo. I'm like, it was the one title where I just couldn't connect to. I do
Sure.
read everything else though. When was the last time an issue of Hornsby and Halo has come out though?
Well, that's
Uh,
crazy if it's been delayed.
no, it wasn't that long ago actually.
Really?
I think it was. Let me see when it was actually. Um, what is the last issue? I don't even remember what the last issue was. You can keep talking. I'll look it up and I'll let you know when I find it.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll move on to the next topic until we get information about
Yeah,
oh,
sorry.
we got a new member. Thank you, Rob Cruz, for being a new member for the show and for the channel. All right, let's get into some more comic news. I thought this was interesting. Marvel's setting a print run for the Astonishing Miles Morales Infinity comic that came out a little while ago for May. And I think the only reason they're doing it is because there's no Miles Morales book right now. So I feel like they got to like kind of buy some time with whatever they're doing with the Ultimate Universe. And the writer for this one is Cody Ziegler.
Yeah, it is Cody Ziegler.
Yeah.
I thought that was. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kat.
No, go on. No, I was just gonna say same creative team as the last.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting that it was the writer that was writing the series, and it's obviously it's an Infinity series, so they're it was in digital already. I'm assuming, so I'll check it out just because I figure it's going to tie into his run, and it's kind of dealing with some of his personal villains. So that's fun. I like Cody Ziegler's run. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll read it just because it's Infinity series. I don't have anything else to say though. I really don't. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just an Infinity. Like most of those Infinity stuff, like I don't buy. You know what I'm saying? It's like I just usually pass on them.
I do
They're
too.
not the same as like a real comic book story, I guess, when it's first made on print,
Yeah,
I very rarely get them unless it's like, oh, I get to see a character I normally don't get to see. Like that's but Miles, I mean, you kind of get to see him already. So
like I said, the main draw here is that it's written by the guy that was writing the whole series, so that's kind of why I'm a little bit more interested.
And if you like that run, you'll be like, oh, I want more Cody Ziegler.
Right. So I found the information about Hornsby and Halo. The last issue came out on Christmas Eve, and it had been regular up until that. So the next issue is to be determined. So now there is a delay. So I don't know. I don't remember if it was the end of an arc or not. It might have been. So that would make more sense. But yeah.
Cool. Let's get into some more indie comic stuff. So IDW has a new imprint. They've been doing a lot with the horror imprint, and now this is IDW Crime. And we have some cool people part of it. We got Joey Esposito, who's a friend, and actually, I mean, I'll plug this later, but we have a Kickstarter with Zoe Tunnel, who is writing one of the books. So if you want to see Zoe, she has a title with us and is also doing stuff with IDW Crime. And there's a lot of cool stuff here. I actually think IDW has really been picking up. I really like the diversity they've been doing because they started building up their horror line. You're like, okay, let's do crime now. And they still have their, Star Treks and Team NT. But I feel like this is a gradual way to grow. So I thought it was cool. I thought it was a little different.
Yeah, I think they need to be different. And I think they can't just rely on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because that can only last so long before they do so many different versions of the Turtles before people, I feel like, will get burnt out on it. I think that's part of the thing with Turtles is like you have the original Turtle series and there's that. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, we got Splinter and then we got a Shredder series and we got this series and we got that series and we got the Turtles that team up with Godzilla. And it's just like, it's turtle overload. So it just shows you that they definitely need more stuff. So hopefully this does succeed.
Well, especially with Team NT, I think they wanted it to be like Transformers and G.I. Joe. And then it did well, I think, for the first 2 or 3. Again, I don't know about sales wise, but like hype around, I feel like from what I was hearing, it just kind of died down a little bit, which I mean, every series does, but I think they were hoping for the explosion of Transformers and G.I. Joe.
Sure. Yeah. And this feels like IDW getting back to its, what it was at the beginning, which was, focus on more genre comics, more, independent creator
Lock
comics.
and key type
Exactly.
stories.
Yeah. And 30 Days a Night and all that kind of stuff that kind of put them on the map. So yeah, they needed to kind of swerve a little bit and make a change, and they've done that. And hopefully they continue to be successful with it.
For sure. Let's see if there's any. Okay, this is another indie, which is Skybound announces the Transformers movie deluxe edition. Now, for you guys, Transformers fans, I actually want to hear more about this. So, is this a reprint or is it a new thing? Like, what's this about from your guys' perspective?
From what I gathered, this is a reprint.
Okay.
From Marvel that they did the Transformers the movie, and then also from what I read, I guess IDW did one as well.
Yeah.
Which I'm not actually familiar with that. And then I guess they're putting them both into this hardcover deluxe edition, kind of like the way Skybound is releasing their hardcover deluxe editions now, and they're putting it in that. So yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's like I didn't realize IDW had done one either. I do remember the Marvel one, but yeah, I mean, Transformers the movie, the actual animated movie, was groundbreaking at the time. It was huge, very well received. It was a great movie. So yeah, both of them capitalized on that and did their own versions of it and put it together in this. And yeah, it makes sense because like they did the big GI Joe compendium, the big Transformers compendium, now this, so it's on brand for them, and that's cool. So yeah, if you yeah, go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's celebrating their 40th
Yeah,
anniversary of the movie, so that's kind of what this is all tied into.
yeah, and then you got new cover art by Sean Murphy, featured on the cover, and yeah, it's if you've never checked out the comic versions of these, this is your chance to do that too. So that's cool.
Yeah, and it's $35 for
That's
a
not bad at all.
hardcover
Yeah.
deluxe. Like
Yeah,
that's
that's not bad.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Again, I'm sticking to indies, and then we'll go to the big two. But this was interesting. This came from Comics Pro. So for people that don't know Comics Pro, it's a convention type thing or meetings where the biggest of the retailers come together and the publishers are like, this is what's coming up. Do you want to buy from us? And this year, Dynamite released that The Boys is getting a blind bag variance, which I guess is coming into stores. I know they've done blind bag variants, but it was through Kickstarter. Maybe they're doing both. But obviously The Boys is not out anymore. So these are all old comics, which I don't know how to feel about it. I mean, I guess as a collector, that's interesting. You're like, oh, I get to collect things maybe I haven't had. But I'm just like, oh, I feel like the blind bags is more for new books. So it's just it's interesting. And I will say Dynamite, and again, I don't know for these books, but the Vampirella books were really expensive. They were like $40 a pop on Kickstarter. Yeah. So that was pretty pricey. I don't remember the exact price, but I remember thinking, oh, that's pretty pricey for blind bags because you want it to be relatively cheap so people can get a lot of them and then you kind of get lucky. So I know they want to capitalize on the final season. I just don't know if this is the route to go, but they're trying.
Yeah. No, and it is weird. At the same time, all these books are first appearances of big characters in that universe, so that's kind of attractive to fans of the books or spec buyers or that kind of thing. It's interesting for the aftermarket. It's not really for me. I never read the comic. It was a little too. I don't know. I like the show for some reason, but the comic was too over the top for me at the time when it came out.
Also, could be the art style because it's so gritty. The art style in the TV show is a little brighter.
Maybe so, or maybe I've just changed, since since that came out. But yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this, but it is interesting that it's all first appearances of big characters in the book. So, and the bag looks kind of cool.
Yeah, sure. All right, last thing here is that Bad Idea, which has been, company's kind of been around. But they've been really more selective with their retailers. It has a new Mark Waid book coming out, and it's only going to be for the 99 retailers, which again has kind of been a part of their strategy for Bad Idea, which I never thought was a good idea. But it's just so weird to see such a big writer, and probably that could be a solid series, and just be like, well, we're kind of limiting this to only 99 stores. If you don't live near there, I guess you're not going to get it.
Yeah. I mean, they did name their company Bad Idea for a reason. So I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting the tactics that they employ. Yeah.
I guess they're trying to do a spec market. Like, I guess that's what they're trying to do is like, oh, there's not that many, but like a spec market, I think is more for like a variant cover or like, yeah, an issue one that's really surprising. But I don't know if you create a spec market like this, because then people are not hyped because most people can't get it.
I mean, does anybody ever talk about their books? Like I never can find them as well. So it's, obviously hard for me to get into it. It's weird. Like we were talking about last week, we were talking about Distillery and all that stuff and what they tried to do. And now, Bad Ideas doing the same kind of thing. But Ignition Press has been successful with their physical only. They won't do digital comics. They're, I think I read an article about them saying that they want to try to make like collectible comics and have this special thing where it feels different and feels I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but you get the point. So
but they're not doing the exactly the digital books that they would normally do in a regular market. I'm curious if their Kickstarter is the digital books. I didn't really pay attention,
I don't know.
But yeah, that is interesting. We do actually have a good question here. Are blind bags a new cash grab? And then name changes says, yeah, I don't understand the appeal of blind bags. It was fine for the first one, but everyone and their dog is coming out with it, as my dog is right underneath making noise for you guys. But I like the thrill of some of them, but I don't like when they're coming out every week. I think if you get them once a month and it's for a special release, I am cool with them. But yeah, just don't overdo it is my answer. But also, you don't have to buy them if you don't want to buy them. But I think they're fun.
Yeah, just be selective of the ones that that you want to purchase. You don't need to buy them all. It was different. Like, oh, we got one here randomly or one there, or it's a big title release, but it just seems like they're coming out with them just to come out with them, and that's when it becomes oversaturated.
Yeah, which is the way it goes with fads like that. So it was a matter of time before that was going to happen, right? So
Right.
but I appreciate the companies, the publishers that are kind of slow rolling them as opposed to the ones that are being like, okay, every book we have, here you go. It's like, okay.
Right, let's get into the next thing, which is let's talk about some DC. So Supergirl is going to be the big appeal of Superman Day, which I think is really smart. The movies are coming out, and it seems like they're doing a lot of different Supergirl comics, which I thought was really cool. Obviously, they're doing the Woman of Tomorrow stuff, but they are doing the new Supergirl World Series, as we mentioned. I think I saw the Marika Tamaki book as well, which is one of my favorites. So I think it's cool that they're putting Supergirl out there. It'd be nice if they do it for the current series, because like that's the one that people are getting. I would like to see a push for that. But yeah, no, I hope that the movie's good and people become fans of the character.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree everything that you just said. I think it just totally makes sense for it. And just why not? I mean, I know it's called Superman Day, but there's all these other characters that are surrounded around Superman, and if he didn't exist, then all the others wouldn't exist. So why not celebrate them all?
Yeah,
Go for them all,
Yeah. And with the movie, it makes sense too.
Yeah, of course.
All right, let's move on to this was the big news from today, which is that Absolute Robin is coming to issue 20. They've also kind of spoiled who's coming for the next issue that they were trying not to spoil. We won't say it here just in case you haven't been spoiled. But yeah, it's cool to see that they're now really expanding that universe. And I think timely. Like I don't feel like it's rushed. I don't feel like Robin already. Like I think if you're playing the seas like you did Joker, you don't have to have Robin every issue, but let's see Robin now, and then 10 issues later, let's see Robin again and just see it grow. I'm curious about the Poison Ivy issue tomorrow, but I like how they're introducing their characters.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I would agree.
absolutely. It's one of those things that I'm sure like back in the day when the original Batman came out, that's how they slowly introduced all their characters too. So this is the same way, but just a modern take on Batman. And I think it's a cool thing that people get excited to see what these characters are going to be like in this world and how they interact with Batman. I think that's what makes it so appealing for people. And I think this Robin issue, I think will be really good too. We saw way back when, was it Dick Grayson or was it Tim that was on the delivery moped or whatever it
I thought it
was?
was Dick Grayson, but I
Yeah,
might be remembering
I think it
incorrectly.
was. Yeah, that's what I remember too.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I think that book is going to have a lot of hype in it too.
Yeah.
I feel like all these, like, save these books. This is like Walking Dead level. Like, if you're buying
Yeah.
Absolute Batman, like, put it in a little bag and board and make sure you
Mhm.
save them all because I'm sure they're going to be worth a lot
Yeah.
out of all the books coming out. It's so funny because maybe we'll talk about it later, but every week there's like a new indie that's getting like $100 or whatever. Like Dork was one of them, and now this week supposedly White Sky is the big book that is being spec'd. I'm like, where did that
That's what I
come from?
heard. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I was looking forward to the book. Like, I thought it looked cool, but it didn't look like a spec book.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I put it on my FOC a long time
Mm.
ago, and that was only because it's apocalypse books,
Right.
So I
Yeah.
was like, yeah,
Sure.
I'm checking this out. Could it be the next Walking Dead? That was my assumption to it,
Right.
And
because
I
this
like
is, I think, a ongoing series, I think.
it's always hard to tell with him.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
know,
I
right?
like the father-daughter dynamic. I thought that was
Yeah.
cool. And I was just like, oh yeah, let's check it out. But yeah, I don't know if it's ongoing or not. Because even Everything Dead and Dying, I don't know if we knew right away if it was
True.
5
Yeah.
issues.
I
It
think
worked
we
out
knew
as
by
5
the
issues.
second I think we knew after the second
Mhm.
issue.
Because then they solicited the 5th one by then. All right, let's talk about our big ones this week here. We got Brandon, if you want to show this one, the costume one, because I feel like we'll probably talk about the
Okay.
details. But Knull and MJ are getting new costumes. So Knull obviously is becoming more of like an anti-hero, possibly now that he has his own series. So of course he has to have a white costume. So we have that. And then MJ, which I think is the bigger conversation, she is now has like a more feminine look. And I have two sides of it. I think the reason why she's unique as Venom is because she didn't look like your traditional she character. But then on the other hand, if I'm Marvel and I want to sell comics, like a sexy version of Venom is probably going to sell more than the other Venom. So I get why they changed it, but I don't know story-wise if I like it.
Let me open the images in different tabs.
So I think it makes sense to me that she has a more feminine side to herself. Not that I was against her at all having the regular Venom suit, but it just seems like what they described is an evolution or a better bond as they become one person.
That
Where
makes sense
the
too.
symbiote, right? The true definition of this is symbiosis is to be together, right? And so it's like when Venom was still Venom and Mary Jane is Mary Jane, they're not technically together because he's still holding on to Peter Parker. He's still holding on to Eddie Brock. He's still heading up, but he's not truly with Mary Jane yet. They were only together for survival purposes. Now it looks like they're creating a true bond, and that's why this is happening. So I think that's where the evolution is taking place here.
Does new
Yeah.
Venom come out this week? Does it? I feel like
No,
we
it
just
just
got a Venom.
No,
I
we
don't
just
think
got
so.
the issue.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it came out this last week.
Yeah. Today. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's-
We're gonna
Yeah,
talk about
yeah.
it today. So
Right.
came out this week.
Yeah, I
go
think
on.
it makes sense too. And I don't know why Knull has to have a white costume just because
That
of
I
Hella,
don't
Yeah.
that I don't agree with. I think
Yeah.
that's dumb.
Yeah, that's dumb. But Mary Jane, that makes more sense. And they've made a lot of jokes about, her massive size and everything once people started to find out it was her and everything. So it's a natural.
And everyone knows it's her now. So
Yeah, exactly.
like everyone who
Right.
was, and we'll talk about that I think this week too. I think because Black Cat came out. But
Side note,
Knull
real
looks
quick.
like Moon Knight, I think. Well, go on. Side
Yeah,
note
he
for,
does. Yeah, he does.
right?
White Sky is ongoing, or at least according to the internet.
Oh, great.
So, yeah, right.
Hopefully we like it.
Yeah.
All right, let's go into the big news. Everyone's been waiting for it. Dan Slott is returning to Spider-Man, and don't worry, it's not a present story. It's the way they write it in the press release. It's like, oh, you know, the most talked about time in Spider-Man, the major shift. It's like, but we're still living that major shift, so it feels weird that it's like we're returning to it. I don't know. I like Dan Slott as a writer. I don't think that I've loved every aspect of his Spider-Man run. There's definitely aspects I really didn't like. But I really wish Dan Slott would do indie comics. And it's so interesting that he's like one of the few that always sticks with superhero comics. And he just doesn't go somewhere else. And I feel like that's what I want to see him more doing than going back to brand new David Spider-Man, where, yeah, the first issue will be fun. But no, how far can you go with it? It's the same comment we've been saying for the longest time. Like, these nostalgic comics are just like cash grabs. And it's just like, give me something new. And they just aren't. And I'm a little disappointed with this news, honestly.
Yeah, and it's an ongoing, which is
Jesus.
That's
not even a miniseries.
Yeah, I would rather, if he was going to come back, I'd rather he, come back to the main title or do some other new title that's current in the current continuity. Do something different.
I really liked his Fantastic Four run. I thought that was him at his best, because I just felt like the pressure of Spider-Man's hard. But what I appreciated about him is that he did stuff that was new and different, even if not everyone liked what they did.
Right.
Even us at points didn't like what he did, but it was new and different. So I'm like, oh yeah, if you bring him on Spider-Man again, maybe he would do something new, like you said, Brand. But this, you can't do anything new. It's nostalgic. So
there's nothing new and different now. Like, he did that Spider-Man series with where he introduced Spider-Boy, and there was nothing really new and different there because it had to do with Spider-Verse characters, right? And so now he's getting this book. And at first, when I thought this book was introduced, I was like, oh, it's a new Peter Parker Spectacular book. And then it attaches Brand New Day. And then you're like, and then it's Dan Slott. And you're like, shit. I'm like, I thought this was going to be something completely different. And then Mr. Negative is on one of the covers. And I'm like, God dang it, even worse right there, Like, come on. That's like the true definition of Brand New Day for me, is like Mr. Negative. I'm like, so this is where we're going with this. Like, I just, frustrating.
This is an interesting question from Tizzy. As someone who's not a Spider-Man super fan, is this bad news? No, I think it's just disappointing news, because bad news, like, I don't even know what the definition of bad news is anymore, because we get so many weird stories. But it's just like, you don't have to read it if you don't want to read it. It's just more of like, more of the same,
Yeah, it's an era that Spider-Man fans weren't crazy about, that the Brand New Day stuff. I don't think anybody was a huge fan of it. But maybe they were. Maybe there was a lot of fans. It just wasn't us.
A lot of people are reading it. I think that's the difference. Mike Manhattan said, why would Dan Slott come back to Spider-Man, especially when the fans hated it? But like, think about Dan Slott. What was when people were talking about him the most was when he was writing Spider-Man.
He ate up the hate, though. He loved it.
Yeah, he enjoyed it.
Fed off of it. Yeah.
And if you saw him at Comic-Con, and he's a great dude. I really like Dan Slott a lot. And like, when you see him at Comic-Cons, he could just make jokes about it. He's like a troll in a fun way. So it's just like, why wouldn't you want to relive that?
Yeah, he says Spider-Man's his favorite character in all of fiction. So, and I think that did show eventually, even though the ideas were so out of left field that everybody was like thrown for a loop. Like, why would you do this? And eventually is like, oh, this is actually pretty good. But yeah, no, I think he does show a love for the character. Also, somebody asked, I lost the comment, but somebody asked who the artist was going to be. It's Marcus Toe is the artist.
It was decent, yeah.
Yeah. And then I think covers will be Phil Jimenez, and then Marcos Martin's doing backup stuff.
Which is so interesting to see Phil, because he does a lot more with DC Comics usually. Like, he's known for his like Wonder Woman and stuff like that. So
it's like, why can't we have a different story though? Like, didn't you tell what you needed to tell in Brand New Day already?
I would think there's so many decades. It was like a decade.
Like it was forever ago. You had
Yeah.
a whole run of it, and then you told more stories after that. And it's like
it's because of the movie. The movie's coming out, so
Yeah.
they gotta have a brand new.
Of course.
so call it Brand New Day and
Right,
have
just
Mr.
use the
freaking
title.
Negative in it.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Use the title, but make it, current.
Yeah, don't bring it back. Don't make it a nostalgic story. Just make it a different story.
Right.
Make it how Spider-Man comics used to be, where it was like we had the 3 different titles. That's okay. I'd rather do that. At least they were coming out with different stories.
Yeah. We're getting some hot takes in the comments. I don't know if y'all saw
know.
this, but that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I saw it. Superior Spider-Man was a failure.
And
I think it made
Industries.
money.
Yeah,
You should have stuck around.
Superior Spider-Man was not a failure by any stretch of the
No.
imagination. And
Again, you didn't have to like it, but people bought
I
it.
agree
Yeah.
with that comment right there.
I do too.
I think that was his best idea.
Yeah, Parker Industries. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
I
wish the
loved it.
supporting characters were better. I think that was my only nitpick, but I think the idea of it is like you're Peter Parker. You should be like
Yes.
doing something a little more.
It was finally we're celebrating his his intelligence, his background with science.
Yeah.
Yeah. All that stuff. But no,
He worked at Horizon Labs.
right.
You
But
remember?
no, you got to keep Spider-Man with nothing and nobody, right?
I mean, we'll talk about another one, a book that came out this week that kind of treads on that, which was interesting to see. Hot take: Peter would have a better relationship with Paul. Honestly,
Oh,
they
they
would.
should be roommates with each other.
Oh,
They should, because think about it. They're two guys with
the
the name
exes of
team.
Mary Jane.
Yeah.
It's not even just the exes, but the people who are always down in the dumps. They were
Yeah,
never
that's
had the
true.
best of luck, so they could really just have a challenge of who
It'd be like a
would have a
sitcom.
better one. They really would. I wish
Yeah.
they need a comedy book with Paul. I really think that would be the best Spider-Man choice because it doesn't change anything. It's just funny. I did see another Tevia comment, which I thought was interesting. Do you trust him on Spider-Man again? And I think that's interesting for the regard of like, if this is the main series, that's a question, right?
Mm.
But it's a side story, like read it or don't. It's like his Superman run. It's like you can read it or not with his Superman run. You could really like it. It's good for new readers, but also how many new readers of Spider-Man is there? So,
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry, Superman is there. And then his Spider-Man, I don't think
So
would be
yeah,
new
it's a
readers,
throwaway
but-
story, has nothing to
Sure.
do with what's going on. And that's what I would like him to see with this Spider-Man. Like, just don't take it back to that time period. Like,
Yeah.
just do a Spider-Man run that doesn't have Spider-Verse people, that doesn't have, past stuff going on. Just write a brand new story and just, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's all
I do
have
want to
say.
mention a comment here. So Myra says, did she say there needs to be a Paul book? So funny enough, that was not a pitch from me. That was a pitch from Mike
Yeah.
many moons ago. And I agree with Mike that we should have a Paul book, but I can't steal Mike's thunder. He's the one who's been selling the Paul book forever.
It would be a comedic book to the finest. And every time Paul makes an appearance, it's just like you can add to this story. I mean, and it makes sense. Like him and Peter should live together, and they've both been dumped by the same chick, and now the girl is Venom out of all things, So it's just
hilarious.
yeah, it's a great story.
Again, don't take it seriously. That's
Yeah.
that's what's
the
so
thing.
funny in the comments too. It's just like we're all taking Spider-Man so seriously and comics so seriously. There are books like that. Main story Spider-Man should be taken seriously, but us having a comedy book where Paul is stupid, who does like that's fun. Like, no, don't take life too seriously.
But that's what kind of Venom is, though.
Yeah.
Venom is kind
exactly.
of that drama book. It's always been that way.
Yeah. And it's like when we first heard the concept of Paul's going to be in this Venom book, we hated it. We were hating Paul left and right, but they made us like the character just for the absurdity of everything that happens to him and how down he is and how goofy he is and all this stuff. And I agree. It's interesting. I've recently, this week specifically, been seeing a lot of hate for the Venom series online. And I'm just like, I don't know where all of you have been because I've been loving Venom personally. But
well, I think it depends on the audience, if I'm being honest. I think there's certain people who think of Venom in a different way, and they're like, where's my Eddie Brock? Where's my Carnage? And it's just like, there's this toe of a line, right? We can't live in the spectacular Spider-Man where nothing changes, but also it's hard to see such major change. So I get it in that regard if you love Eddie Brock and like why, but also like stop taking things so seriously if the book is good. Like give it a shot, you know? Like I think comics, we just gotta like change a little bit more than we do. And I think that's why we're stuck in the place we are, is because people have been complaining anytime something changes. And it's just like look at Dan Slott's run, right?
Yeah.
Like that was the biggest changes, and now we don't have them anymore. And it's just like, again, I don't think the three of us all loved that run by any means. There was times where it wasn't great, but I trade what we have now to what we had with Dan Slott, because at least it was someone to talk about. Like now Amazing Spider-Man is like, oh yeah, I guess that happened. Let's move on. Like at least it's a topic to say something. And also Venom is that. Like anytime Venom comes out, we have a longer conversation about that book than Spider-Man.
That's true.
You know, and going back to like the main book, right? What's always been the problem with Spider-Man, or I would say Peter Parker for the past so many years, it's not like, yes, a lot of the supporting cast is different from what they were in the past. Like they all have powers or villains, whatever the case may be. So there's struggles, but Peter Parker doesn't grow. Like he doesn't grow as a character. It's like he's not allowed to have a relationship. He's not allowed to have friends. He's not allowed to have a job. He's not allowed to have anything except be Spider-Man. And as a comic book reader and as a fan, that's boring. Why do you just want to see him be Spider-Man the whole time? You want him, Peter Parker, to have a life and a story as well. And that's what made the book so good to begin with.
Yeah. And I want to talk about the line as a whole, because I see this comment too. We can't want for better Spider-Man books than say we need a Paul comic line. What I think we all mean, and why MJ as Venom has been so fun to us, is I think Spider-Man's at his healthiest when everything feels a little different. If you have 10 titles, there's like, again, Spider-Man just hanging around, being like, oh, I'm Spider-Man, blah, blah, I can't be with MJ. It's boring, and there's 10 titles like that. If you have an all-new Venom that's more of a comedy book, and then you have maybe a really serious book with Amazing Spider-Man, or you have a more lethal Venom, you have a Flash Thompson book. Those are all different genres that make a healthy Spider-Man. Just because something's a comedy doesn't mean it's bad, right? So if you have a stupid Paul comedy book, that makes a healthy line because you have different genres. Now, obviously, you need to have those other books like an Eddie Brock book or a MJ book and a really strong Amazing Spider-Man book for that to work. But I'd rather that than see the same thing over and over and over again. Give me different titles that mean something differently.
Yeah.
I mean, at least like when you look at it, at least they're doing something with Mary Jane. They're trying to do something with her, right? I think like when it came to Jackpot, I think in all reality that didn't work. No. So I think that I think people really, really hated that. And I think then they had to pivot and somehow combine, her with Venom.
Yeah, and it's better than what was happening previously, which was let's just put her in Hollywood and trying to be an actor so we don't have to deal with her and she just doesn't show up.
And that was boring too.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys think this is like goes to the X line, but do you guys think the X line delivers something similar to what I was just saying about different genres? Because I don't think it does. I think every X book has a different character, but they all feel the same. And I think that's the problem with X-Men, unless you guys feel differently. But I think every X-Men book's like, here's Magic, she's doing this, but it's not like, oh, this is a really like horror book, right? Like a good example is like Hellcat. If you read the Chris Cantwell series from a few years ago, that was a horror book. Like you're reading that, it's like, that was great. And honestly, I would say Hulk is maybe doing it a little bit. Planet She-Hulk and Inferno Hulk are two very different titles.
I think the X books just exist.
Sure.
That's all they are. I don't think they don't really tie into anything. I just think they're just there.
I think they tried to do something similar to that, but I don't think any of them have found a singular identity. Like Uncanny X-Men jumps all over the place and tries to do like 1 week it's like horror infused, another week it's character stuff, another week it's let's celebrate all the mutants and have a have a town parade or whatever it is. I don't think it knows what it is, right? And like, I don't know, they cancel the books that are different, like Exceptional, to your point, Kat. So I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if it's not working if as much as they haven't quite figured out how to do it with the experts yet.
And I think I don't think it's it's the execution, not the idea, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not the idea, and that's because of what Marvel has been doing. It's just every issue one feels the same no matter what, right? I mean, even if we talk about Iron Man, which we'll see as it goes along, Iron Man doesn't feel like Superman issue one. There's something holding that book back. Again, let's see where we're issue 510. I might take those words back, but it wasn't like, wow, that was amazing. It was just like, yeah, that was solid enough. It was better than some of the other issue ones. But there is this holding back aspect. So even if the concept is great, I think like MCU built itself on that, right? So if the MCU can do that well, why can't Marvel do it well? And just because they're trying to do it well doesn't mean they are executing it well.
Right.
And I think with X-Men, I don't even think they're trying that hard to do it either. Like, we don't have a horror book. We don't have a secret agent book.
Yeah, I think not to discredit the creators behind the books, because I think they're doing what they can within the parameters they're given. And I think, and that's what we always say, and maybe it's a cop-out, but I do think it goes back to editorial and them hampering what you can and can't do with the characters because they have these other plans in place, and you have to keep them kind of status quo so they're ready for what's to come next. You know what I mean? So, or whatever.
It's just, I don't know. It's just when it comes to those individual books, I just feel like they seem like B-rated comic books because, first of all, you have Uncanny and X-Men, who in all reality are not really strong books. And usually when you want individual books to come out, solo series, those characters are hitting on all cylinders. And you don't release them just to release them, because if you had Uncanny X-Men going against some of the biggest, the baddest villains that there are, right? And it makes it for exciting comics or exciting adventure or whatever it is, then it might make it a little bit easier to release a solo book. So say Psylocke goes through something really a traumatic event in that book that was released, right? And then you kind of get to see maybe the aftermath of Psylocke in her own mini series, and dealing with something like that. So, and it's just, they just put a book out there just because, oh, look, she's a good looking character. People like her, but there's no real story. There's no real villain. They just like make up a person on the fly, and they make you think, oh, you might just buy her because she's a cool character.
The Magic of Colossus book is actually a really good example of that too, where it's like, it's fine, right? It's a little bit about their relationship, but if you think about the conflict, there wasn't like a huge conflict to be like, whoa, oh my God, can you believe Magic Colossus is going up against that? It's just like, there's no stakes. So it's just like, what? And I'm trying to really think of a series, because obviously you are talking about X-Men and Uncanny. They do feel a little different. I'll say that because I think I saw like Uncanny is more of the slice of life book, but then also like there's no big character moment that feels really strong in Uncanny to make it that slice of life book. And then X-Men is the action book, and there's not any huge action moment to be like, whoa, can you believe that happened? It's just like everything's on the dial of 5, right? Where it should be 10 to get people excited.
Right.
I mean, at least then with Spider-Man here, it looks like we're going to see obviously things start to connect very soon with the events that's going on, with Eddie being Carnage, and then Mary Jane finding out, or Peter Parker finding out that Mary Jane is Venom. So all those things are going to eventually connect, which could make it exciting. Something happens to Shocker. Like there's different things there that seems like it's bringing the Spider people, the cast together. So there is hope there, so.
It's the first Spider-Man event I've been really excited for, because I do, like you just said, Mike, there's been like tidbits in Venom and these other books that are leading into it. So you're like, oh, I'm really excited to see that interaction. It doesn't feel random. I hope that's gonna be a good, healthy Spider-Man for the future, or at least a good event. Like honestly, if I could just get a good event, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, that is our Spider-Man talk or X-Men talk. You know, I feel like it's always a similar vibe that we have with it. But there's some good comics, and that's something I do want to actually state before we move on. I know we're like dogging on some stuff, but I don't want to take away that Marvel has some good books out there too. So like I think there's franchise problems they have, and I think the franchises we're talking about in particular, like X-Men, there's not, besides my darling exceptional X-Men that is now gone. I don't have a favorite. And Spider-Man, I really like Venom, but it doesn't really feel like a Spider-Man book.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's hard to talk about as franchises, but there are good books. Like we weren't here like 2 weeks ago. We were talking about Infernal Hulk, and we're like, damn, it's so good, you know? So like there's good books out there.
It's like we're always coming to it from a place where we want it to be so good. We're Marvel fans, and we just it's sad. It's kind of sad because we can't, be excited about some of the books that we really want to be excited about.
We're actually just having therapy sessions every week. You guys are just
I'm even grasping at like Captain America, seeing okay, well,
right.
what can like how does Chip Zdarsky start pulling all this stuff together, like with the Captain America book, and then eventually it's going to tie into Avengers, and then you got this Wolverine book that's coming out. So the cool thing here would be, okay, let's connect all this stuff, make a more solidified Marvel Comics, and then let's just dump all the crap. Like you'll have this Armageddon Wolverine book, right? And then you got this Wolverine title that Sullivan and Ahmed is writing, where it has nothing to do with anything, and it's kind of same thing with like Cyclops miniseries. It's like it doesn't seem like it goes with the regular X-Men book to me after I read it this week too.
Yeah, it's like there's connective tissue there, but then it goes off on its totally different direction. Yeah.
So I think Marvel just needs to again come together and just like bring it more together to where again it feels like an entire universe, where I feel like they've just gotten so separated from each other, like nothing makes sense anymore.
Or again, I think we've been stating this for a long time. Tell a good character story. Like I'll use Infernal Hulk as an example, just because we were talking about it, and I think it's been a really good series. But that's not really connected to anything. It's just connected to its own story. And the last issue I really liked because there's a really human story in it that was horrific and very much within its own series. Like it's been built up since Immortal Hulk. So I feel like there's continuity, but there's also, it was just a character story. Like you gotta just tell something emotional, then you're gonna, and I think the trick of comics, I always say this, give me an emotional story, give me a little action, and give me a good cliffhanger for me to come back. Those are the 3 takes you need to have in comics. Just do that. Then you'll be good. Right? Because like again, there's people that don't love talking head comics, which makes sense. Comics is a visual medium, gives me something interesting visually. But if you give me something interesting visually, you also have to give me something emotional. And if you don't give me a good cliffhanger, why would I come back? So just think about those 3 things and you'll make a good comic.
Yeah. You definitely need something to sink your teeth into, especially when it comes to the characters. If the characters just seem lifeless, soulless, they're just there and there's nothing there, and it just becomes a forgettable story, then it's like why should I come back? There's going to be new number ones that come out every week. A lot of these books I've been looking up now are like $6 for 32 pages, and you're like, okay, you're going to have to deliver something a little bit more in a first issue. I get sometimes it takes a story arc to get a full grasp, but you need something there that's really going to grab a reader for that price point.
Well, that's interesting about the up prices. And I don't know if it's because comics are getting so good or because they're getting pricier. I was doing my taxes and I was looking at how much I spent on comics last year compared to this year. And I spent more money this year. And I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm pretty consistent at how many books I usually get. And I think my haul has gone a little higher because there's been so many good books. I used to get like 10 and now I get like 15. So I was like, maybe that's it. But I'm like, are comics just getting more expensive? I was looking at it. I was like, damn, it like went up a good amount. So I thought that was interesting. Cool. I'm going to talk about some Kickstarters and then we're going to go into comics because there are a lot of comics to talk about. But let's talk about Zoe Tunnell's book first because we were talking about the IDW Crime. She does have a book there, so if you want to read some of her stuff before IDW Crime, check out Sink Your Teeth. It's a noir vampire story in Chicago. So if you like Jessica Jones, you can check that one out. Lauren Knight's also art. She did Golden Knight, I think, Golden Child, that came out recently. So let's also talk about, we got one more Kickstarter to talk about here. And this is, window, here we go. Little Mermaid. So if you are looking for action and good character work, I recommend The Little Mermaid and the Pirate Queen. Pirate Queen is about Arya wanting more from life. You know, she had her happy ending and she's like, well, I'm not really satisfied. What do I do next? And we kind of mix up the pirate mythology and what you know about mermaids. So go check it out. And we got some awesome art on that as well. All right, let's get into comic books.
It's time. Comic book time. Here we go. Let's talk about Wade Wilson Deadpool issue 1. I'm curious what you guys think about it. I feel like, so we talk about books that need some time to develop, and this is one of those books for me. But I do like Benjamin Percy's writing, and I do like his I like the visuals in this comic as well. And what left me interested was, are we going to get the story of what happened with Ellie? Because if we don't, then that would be a cop out for me in this series. So I think it's very integral that we get the reason why Deadpool is depressed, suicidal, whatever the case may be, doesn't want to live. And hopefully we do get that story. That's what I'm interested in.
I think what was interesting is it's kind of like we were kind of talking about. I feel like a lot of Marvel issue ones are very similar. And in this regard, I really liked last run because it felt very individual. This is just like, well, let's kind of go back to the movies a little bit. And you kind of mentioned a little bit of the last run. Like you said, the daughter is mentioned, but also feels like kind of a fleeting thought. There's other things he's going to do. So I didn't hate the issue, but I was also a little disappointed because it just kind of feels like everything else. Here's some action. Here's a little bit of story to kind of get you to issue 2. But was there anything exciting? For me personally, not, especially someone who's not a huge Deadpool fan.
So the way I felt, do you have something to say real quick, Mike?
Yeah, real quick. I just wanted to say that I did think it had a good balance in there. I did think it had some good character emotion from him. I do think that he wasn't too jokey. Does it have the movie element to it? Yes, it does. Right. But there was funny elements in other ways in there, like when he was interacting with Hammerhead and like, he was getting his money and he's like, Hammerhead's like, what is wrong with you? Like I thought that moment there, like, just made me laugh out loud. So I did think there was really decent moments in here. Some of the moments, like you said, Kat, like the movie moments, I wasn't so keen on, but most of the issue was okay.
But so you said okay. Well, let's hear Brand. So you like it, you dislike it?
So I'm kind of in the middle because, to your point, Kat, some of that stuff, the movie stuff and everything, which I do like the movies, admittedly.
Sure, me too. I think the movies are fun.
Yeah, but I was worried that we were going to kind of devolve into the more jokey Deadpool as it starts off and everything. But once I realized that the reason he was acting out is because of something that happened to his daughter, which we don't know what happened to her. So that made it make more sense why he was acting this way again. And then it became more of a psychological kind of dealing with trauma, kind of avoiding everything and just trying to, throw himself into basically killing himself and work and anything else to not think about what's going on. So that made it a little bit more personal and deeper for me, to the point where I think eventually we're going to have like a break to where he breaks down and kind of, has to deal with whatever happened. So that's what kept me on the hook, more so than all the action and everything like that.
Yeah, and I don't want to spell out that I hated this issue because I do think it's much better than some other Deadpool series we've got in. I'm just kind of still stating the problem I have with Marvel in general is
Right.
that there's no wow issue 1. There's no like, whoa,
Yeah.
I just read that. And I felt the same way for this. I'm like, it's fine, right? I'm like, there's something there. But
Yeah.
I just want something to wow me. And I just like, it just felt more of the same in some ways. It even felt more of the same of the previous series if you go towards that. So it's about the daughter, fine. You know, they have a cool relationship, but it's nothing new, right? Like even him being down on the dumps, we've seen that in the movies. We've seen him be like a little down on the dumps. So that's the part where I'm just like, I struggle a little bit with it because I just want to be wowed by something. I'm just like,
Oh yeah,
it's another fine book, but
sure.
again,
Right.
there's
It
been
just
bad
stems
books.
to
So
the conversation earlier.
Sure.
We just Marvel is very mid these days. It's just there's
Exactly.
nothing there where it just like there's something that blows you out of the water. Like you're just so excited to read. Like I would say Infernal Hulk is probably the best title as of right now. You know, and once I get into more maybe Captain America, maybe that might work a little bit more. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see as time goes along. All right. So let's Brant and I discuss Transformers issue 29. So we talk about wow factor. This book is 29 issues in, and I feel like there's a wow factor every single issue you read it.
Yeah.
And then this issue, there just is an all-out war to basically go save Soundwave in here, and just the action and everything that took place. Devastator half forms trying to save Soundwave was great, and it was so interesting to see. And I'm trying to remember what happened. Megatron went crazy. They took away Soundwave took away Megatron, but was there something else at the end that happened?
Yeah, Alita 1 showed up.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alita 1 came from Cybertron.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's cool. So
Basically told Optimus, hey, you know, we got to do things my way now. Yeah.
yeah. So that's going to be interesting. So yeah, good book for me.
It was gorgeous art. I do want to say that. And there's this
who's doing
huge-
it's Dan Moore, right?
It's
Yeah,
Dan Morrow.
Yeah, and there was a huge double page spread when they were all fighting. It was just absolutely beautiful, stunning work. Yeah, the only nitpick I would have with this is there was so many fights and so much going on that I did have a little trouble following some of the characters throughout this.
I did too. I had to go
Yeah.
back a couple times. I'm like, wait, what's going on there? Oh, who's over there? I'm like, is that this person? Yeah, because there was like all kinds of action going on in this.
Yeah, and I do want to say this was a fantastic book. It always is for me. It didn't actually make my top 5 this week, believe it or not.
Oh wow.
But only because of the story progression. This was just a culmination of things that have been building up to it, and it was a big battle, and there wasn't much else beyond that besides the cliffhanger. And that's the only reason. Otherwise, it would still be there. Just I wanted to clarify that. But yeah, it's still a fantastic read, though.
Gotcha. All right. I think I had 6 books that were top 5 material. So I had a tough time picking out that like number 5 book basically for me.
I genuinely liked a lot of my books this week. I didn't
Did you?
love a lot of them, but I liked most.
Yeah, I
I
didn't.
get that too. Yeah, I agree.
I wouldn't say I disliked a lot of them, but I did same. I did like a decent amount too.
No, I felt that way too.
All right, so then let's move on to DCKO issue 4. So we finally get the winner of the tournament, which was spoiler, Lex Luthor. And then he's going to be going off.
Such a big spoiler.
You know, I did predict that, so I did. I got that side of the draw correct. I had Superman face off against Lex Luthor, and I said Lex Luthor would win. And let's see if he now becomes, the King Omega himself going against Darkseid. Now, the other side of the draw was an epic fail because Batman screwed everything up. So that there was all that.
Well, you couldn't have predicted what was going to happen.
No, that was the story. Yeah, that was the story, Tris.
It's
but we're going to say Brent.
I was just going to say the bracket when you see it, and it's like characters that were defeated 2 rounds ago. And it's like, what?
Right. And you're like, what? No, and I thought this was a solid issue. I think my one nitpick that we've been kind of saying with DCKO is like, some of it is a little predictable, right? Like, all right, you knew Lex Luthor was kind of going to win, and it's like, what does that mean? And then the spoiler alert, but the dark side of it all. If you've been reading Superman, you can kind of tell that's where it was kind of going. They've been saying that Doomsday's been saying that for a little while. The dark side is going to do all this. So, but I think what really succeeds in DCKO is that action. I think they do a really good job at making the matchups exciting with absolute characters in this issue and just like having a fun time with the ride. Like, is it a perfect event? No, I think it's not Blackest Night because I think Blackest Night was able to do a little bit more with the emotions, but I think this is a really good start for DC to tell a really good event.
You talk about Blackest Night like it happened yesterday. I mean, you're going back now like shit. I think it's like what,
nearly 20 years.
Well,
20 years at this
that
point.
was probably the last perfect event, though. What was the last perfect event?
I agree. That was
you're probably 100% right on that, and I would say that out of all comics as of late, I would say that this though is the best event that I have read. I think it did a lot of the things right. I think the buildup was right. I think the event itself was just just enough amount of books. I thought you had good writers on there. You had consistent artwork on there. Maybe not all the tie-ins were all that great, but I just do think that the journey to get to this point, I think, was fun. And if you got that out of this event, I think mission was accomplished, that you wanted to continue to read it by the time we got to the end of it. How many times are we like, man, I can't wait for this event to over? Is it almost over? Like One World Under Doom. That thing went on for an entire year and it had all these tie-ins and stuff like that. And you're just like, just so Dr. Doom could like sacrifice himself for his goddaughter. I mean, that's all that happened, really.
And I think going back to DCKO, what made it great, again, maybe it wasn't every story beat, but it was how big everything felt, right? Like, and you said, obviously not feeling bored, but it's just like every issue felt big. Everything was discussed. Like people got really excited for it, and I think it's like being part of a community is really cool. It's just like, I like that. We do have a comment from Rob Cruz, and Justice was very good. I mean, I love that comic, but I couldn't call it an event. It was just a good comic.
It's a Elseworld story.
Yeah. But no, it was really good though. But as far as events go, this DCKO, it managed to do something that so many other events just haven't been able to do. And I think Blackest Night stands alone as, I mean, maybe since Crisis. It just it was just in a class of its own. But this was really good second.
And there's been good events around. I'll even throw some bones to Marvel. Like we talked about War of the Realms. I love that event. I think
even that same thing though. That thing is almost just as old.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I think War of the Realms is not as old as Blackest Night though. I think it's. Let's see how. I think it's probably 10 years.
Probably. I think maybe 5.
War of the Realms. Let's see.
I'd say like 6 or 7.
Let's find out who is 2019. So it's been about 5. Which it's been a long time, but there hasn't been any good events since. Again, we had King in Black, War of the Realms, DCKO now, but has there been anything in between that has been a good event? Not that I've read. I haven't finished any event because I was like, nope, I'm good.
I like the original Sin.
Me and Mike.
You guys like that. You guys like that one. And, again, that was a taste problem. That wasn't that was bad problem.
And Black Vortex was okay.
Yeah, but that was a very small event.
Yeah.
It was so X-Men related.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else.
Think of events that actually affected things. So that's why I love War of the Realms and
King in Black.
King in Black.
King in Black. Yeah.
Because you have Knull, you have everything that happened with Venom and Dylan, but War of the Realms, you still have Valkyrie. You still have a lot of things that happened there too.
Yeah. King in Black was the last, I would say, true Marvel event that was really solid.
And it's like all those other ones that they've made movies and TV shows off of, they were great in concept, but they never stuck the landing, like Secret Invasion, Civil War, etc. They all were great up until a certain point. Then they they lost it. But
No, I don't disagree. So I really think this is a good event. And I'm excited for more. I just genuinely, because
Yeah.
like when you compare it to Absolute, I'm like, oh, I think I'm enjoying Absolute a little more than DCKO. But then obviously Absolute was tied in here. So
Right.
like I was like, oh, I think there are higher highs. But I genuinely just had a fun time. And
Yeah.
that's like what I really like about Scott Snyder's version of comics. It's just like
Yeah.
make people care. And
Yeah.
it's
And
funny
engaged.
because
Keep them
yeah,
engaged.
it is funny because I was talking to my friends who like kind of understand why I love doing this podcast because like I work in comics, I full-time work in comics, it's my whole life, but all that's work, right? It's all like I write comics for a living, but this right here, this is me hanging out with my friends, right? Like
Yeah.
we love everyone watching, but like it's just the three of us and we're just talking
Yeah.
about the thing we love. So
Right.
it's just like that's what I like about comics. Like obviously I like the creating stuff and that, but that is my job. That is the work stuff. Like this is just like hanging out. So I you know, and that's the part that I like that Scott Snyder's building again. It's just like you are now allowed to hang out with your friends and get excited. There's so many years where we were just hanging out and be like, what we just did earlier in the podcast, like, why are comics like this? And now we get to talk about all these awesome comics. So it's just cool to be a fan too, you know?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
All right. So let's go ahead, Brent.
I wanted to answer this question. Is 30 the last of his Transformers run, or am I wrong? If you're talking about Kirkman, you're wrong. He's on.
No, he's talking
definitely-
about Mora.
If you're talking about Mora, yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was a 6-issue stint. So I don't
Yeah.
know if it's
Who's
30 or
taking
31.
over?
I don't remember. Did
I
they-
mentioned the guy that was doing Ghost Pepper.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
right. We did talk
Yeah.
about it. Okay, yeah, we
Yeah.
talked about that recently.
right.
I forgot.
What was his name?
Oh, I
I don't
forgot.
remember, but I remember you guys liked his art, and I
Yeah.
remember we looked it up. And
He
it
did
was
like
good.
covers or whatever in the past too,
Mhm.
even for Transformers.
Oh,
He has
this
that.
is well, finish your thought first, but there's an interesting question.
He has some like exaggerated covers too, like with how the
Oh.
Transformers are drawn.
Is it Ludo Lullaby?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an interesting question. Then we'll move on to the next comic. But Mr. Negative says, I haven't read it, but did y'all read Metal? See, that was interesting because it was during a time where I feel like DC was holding back. There's still a lot of editorial things happening. So it was like, oh, it was a really cool concept that just I felt like too much was going on to
Yeah,
make
that
the
was
pitch
a
in.
lot. That was a
No.
lot.
That was one of the few events that I didn't finish. I didn't like it
Mm.
personally. So
I finished it because at that time I was working for Newsarama and I somehow became the DC beat editor, even though I'm more of a Marvel fan, but somehow I just ended up becoming the DC beat editor, which obviously I like DC too, but I had to like read a lot of DC comics. So I was
Yeah.
just like, I had to do articles about Metal. And that was it was hard because I was just like, man, what happened there? It was like a little convoluted. Honestly.
yeah, it was very convoluted. But I do remember you all liking it a little bit better than me. So
I liked
There's
ideas of it.
certain
That's why I like the
elements I
visuals.
like. I like the
yeah.
the different Batmans and like
Mhm.
like the
right.
like the you had the Batman who
The Batman
laughs,
who laughs,
and then
yeah.
you had there was like the Green Lantern Batman. There was
Mhm.
there was some like interesting like one shots or 2-issue stories or that had to deal with those different characters. I think that's what made that interesting.
And I think I like the sentiment of it because you could tell it was coming from a place of passion, whereas some of the other events sometimes just feel like, oh, I have to tell this. But you could tell
Yeah.
it's like this was a story he really wanted to tell about the history of DC Comics. So,
Yeah.
and I liked the punk rock aspect of it. I thought was cool. But yeah, nothing close. Like it's forgettable. I probably wouldn't have remembered it unless you mentioned it.
What did you guys think of Flashpoint? That was a pretty decent.
Um,
I
event.
liked Flashpoint.
But it went into the New 52. That was the hard ship of
Right.
it, right?
Yeah,
It was a good
that
event, but
was what
then
kicked
so
that
much
off,
changed. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the event in and of itself. And I think a lot of the miniseries tied to that were really good. So
Especially if you were reading Flash. I love Francis Manipold's
Yeah.
run of Flash. If you're already reading that run, it was a really cool connective tissue to that run. And it's one of my favorite Flash runs of all time was that Francis Manifold.
Yeah, that was a good run. I
Yeah.
actually have
Yeah, it
that.
was.
I have that on the bus actually.
Oh, nice.
you?
It's
Yeah.
a good run.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on here. Let's get the show on the road. Okay, so
Our
we
number
talked about
5, right?
DCKO. Yeah, number
Yeah.
5. So my number 5 was Geiger issue 21. Pretty interesting story as we're getting to start to see things come together. Like you're talking about crossover stuff. like, yeah, there's some definitely crossover stuff happening in this comic book where we learn more about the Northerner, how he can turn the tide of the war. But even though if you do turn the tide of the war, doesn't mean that a good thing would actually happen. But it looks like we could possibly get like Geiger, Simon Pure, the Northerner, and who else? Who am I missing? There's one other person in there because there was 4 of them that were supposed to sit in that tank, and their names were
Yeah.
on it.
I'm trying to remember who the 4th one was.
I don't remember.
God, I can't
But
remember.
But regardless, it was a good book because, again, you want to talk about character moments. That was a good character moment between those 2 characters as the Northerner's like explaining everything to him. And he's like, "You're freaking crazy. I don't believe anything that you're saying. Tanks falling from the sky, weapons falling from the sky." Like, it was just great, man. It's a good story overall. So I had a blast with it.
This is actually my number 5 as well.
Oh, cool.
For all the same reasons. And I love the character of the Northerner because it's like whatever he needs falls out of the sky. It's like Quantum Leap meets Manifest. Like he's being led by this some kind of force. So he doesn't know what it is.
Don't even know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. But this tank drops in, and like you said, it's got a place with nameplates for all the characters that are gonna have to be involved in this story.
And it's a
like,
time machine, I think.
yeah, and it's a time machine. It added a completely new element to Geiger. And then, he shows up and like gets confronted by the kids who didn't know there was a glowing man, which I thought was interesting.
Oh,
too.
yeah, that's right. It tied into that Ashley Darden issue.
Right. Yeah.
She was the one that trained them.
Yeah, exactly. So lots of good stuff in this issue for sure.
Yes. All right, Kat, what was your number 5?
Mine was something I alluded to earlier, Spider-Man Torn issue 5, which I was torn on, but I lean more towards positive. But I really like the silent moments. I enjoyed the moments where we got to see Peter and feel something. But the thing I was torn on was the ending where he's like, oh, he gives this note to MJ and MJ's like, oh, see you later. You gotta figure it out. So I hate that Peter can't even be happy in an Elseworld.
Yeah.
But I liked this story though. I thought it was what I am looking for in the main series, honestly. I just felt there was more character beats there, even if I didn't love all the outcomes.
I agree 100%. But this is what I was talking about earlier about how we had the supporting cast as they all have their powers or their villains or whatever. And how cool is it to see Peter talk with Harry or Peter talk with Gwen or talk with Mary Jane, and having, even though they weren't together, he gets that note and just like you feel that emotion.
Like in the rain, you're like, I feel for him,
Yeah. And that's what we don't get. We don't get that in these Spider-Man comics. And so here, Michael Straczynski he got it this time. And I was like, yes, thank you. Like, this is what we need. So yeah, it was a good book.
Yeah, and I that's what I mean. Like, I think sometimes you could be unhappy with the results and not agree with the results, but if it's good storytelling, you're like, okay, they're still well written. Like, honestly, a good example is like One More Day. If you read the story, horrible results, not a good plot, but the actual like writing of the emotion is like, that's not that bad, right? You read the emotion of One More Day, but obviously the results are horrible to where it ended up being. Yeah. But it's like there at least was something, right? When they saw the kid, you're like, oh, that could be your future, Yeah. There was like some sort of emotion. Now it's just like, that could be your future, but also here's a bad plot point.
Oh, now you got with Peter, it's like, oh, Shay, she doesn't like me today, or she does like me today, and
do I like her today? I don't know.
Or should I hook up with the alien chick, or should I not? Maybe I should just be friends with her today. It's like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
I think Shay might be the worst girlfriend Peter's had.
Yeah, and there have been some stinkers, but yeah,
Carly is. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. Yeah. The Miss Hollow in the tank. Dude, somebody we haven't met yet.
Oh, okay.
So we're talking about Geiger too.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So let's move on now. We talked about Geiger. So I'll let you guys talk about Siren's Love Hurts issue 1.
I'll say I really like this book, but I don't think it would be for Mike. I think it's a
No,
little too
not
much
at all.
slice of life for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
if you-
did consider it at one point, and then I looked at it at the shop, and I was like, I think
Yeah.
this pushes it.
Mm.
And I'm just gonna put this out there, like Supergirl this week even pushed it a little bit too far for me too.
Yeah.
Supergirl didn't make my top because I
Mine
agree. I
either,
think it
yeah.
was a little bit too piney. I still like this. Well, let's talk about Supergirl for a second, then we'll go to Sirens. I thought it was a little bit too much of pining, and it's like the Lena of it all didn't fit in too much. But I still love the Silver Age take on Supergirl, so I enjoyed that. But it didn't make my top 5, and it usually does. So I don't disagree. But I think it's also because it's just a Valentine's Day issue. So I think it's more of a one-off.
For me, I know it's on our list for later, but for me, it dove too much into the Silver Age for my liking. So it kind of threw me off that way. But yeah.
Going back to the Sirens book. If you really like Harley Quinn the anime series, you'll really like this. If you don't like Harley Quinn the anime series, you won't like this because it's actually definitely takes a little bit more because that Catwoman is very Catwoman from the anime series and not from our universe. Okay. But I had a fun time with it. I thought it was really solid because I miss slice of life comics sometimes, and this was purely like here are the bad girls teaming up with the good girl, and what does that look like? And if you liked Burnside Batgirl to any extent, you will enjoy the style of this. If you don't like Burnside Batgirl, you won't enjoy the style. That's the best way to put it.
I liked Burnside Batgirl. I thought that was a great series.
If you like Burnside Batgirl, you might like this. And there's good story in it. It's like a really solid, fun series.
Yeah, there was surprisingly a lot of meat to it, being the kind of story it was. But I had fun with it. I like the artistic style of it. I thought that it was bright and vibrant and fun. A lot of
she's
energy.
good with fashion. Babs Tarr is really good at like feeling like you're living in the world we see, which I like. Because like sometimes in art, you're just like, oh, that's just clothes you could see in the 90s or now, right? Yeah. But she's really good at showing what the world looks like, which I like, especially for younger people.
Yeah, and I like what brought a Black Canary together with the Sirens because it was like a common, they both want to find out who's killing these girls and all this stuff, and Batman gets.
And I felt so bad for that girl.
I know,
the one in the therapy. So there's this. It opens up with this random girl who's going to therapy, and she's telling her therapist like, "My friends don't like me. I don't even know if I have friends." And then the therapist's like, "Yeah, like stop complaining." And then she dies.
I'll say this too. I think the villain's a red herring. I think it's the woman that was in the club. I think that's.
I can see that. That could be fun. Also, another thing that's different about this series is that Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn are not together. That's interesting. No,
this is soon after she broke up with the Joker. So.
It's cool. I think again, maybe Mike, if I forgot you liked Burnside. So if you like Burnside, maybe give it a shot because it is good. It's just like just very particular. So it's to a particular fan, but it's very Burnside. So
all right. So let's talk about Cyclops issue 1. So Kat passed on this.
Tell me if I made the wrong decision, but I have a feeling.
Okay, so again, it's not like, oh my God, I got to read the second issue.
Yeah.
But it's not half bad either. Like it's one of those stories where it has a decent issue 1. And then it leaves with this cliffhanger where it's like, oh, you want to see what happens with Cyclops because he winds up stranded like in the jungle or whatever it is. The Reavers are going after him, which they're the Reavers, like who cares, right?
Yeah.
But his visor broke, and so that's the big thing. Like, how does he control his mutant powers? Is he going to get captured? How does he survive? Like, and I thought that's what was entertaining about it.
He doesn't have a backup visor. That like feels. I know it's like made out of things
his Quinjet crashed. So the whole
so
thing
he's
blew
stuck.
up.
Yeah. That
exactly.
I was like, he can't have another one. Okay, that makes more sense.
The thing that made the story more interesting for me was that it delved back into his past when he was at the orphanage, and him and Alex at this orphanage, and they talk about where this block in his brain came, where he can't control it, that in the crash he had some kind of brain injury or something. And that's why he can't control his blast, which I don't remember if that was canon or not, but that I was like, okay, that makes more sense why he can't just learn how to control it after all these years.
I
It
was
like,
is kind of
canon either.
weird. Like,
That's
are we
cool.
just figuring this out now?
Right.
Like, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, but I like that it delved into their past and there was like some emotional, connectivity there and everything.
And that
So
was 2 pages of the entire story.
it
Just
was.
I mean, that should have.
Yeah,
It sounds like
yeah.
it should have been the whole thing. 'Cause that
You
actually
know,
sounds.
it
but
would have made it.
that was
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it would have made it.
It leads me to believe though is who is going to come save him.
Right.
Havoc, yeah, probably.
Yeah. You know.
What is it? Can you even have a Cyclops story without Havoc?
Yeah.
Or
Has there ever
Jean,
been
one
one?
of the two.
Right.
So it was okay. Like it was
Yeah.
fine. It was like one of those books where it's just like, okay. The art
Yeah.
was good in it. There
The
was
art was
decent
really good.
action in it. So I think out of all these solo books, that might be the one that I stick with. That and
Interesting.
Deadpool, probably.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'll definitely pick up issue 2 of this one.
I think the only one I'm going to
Or
get
X Force
issue 2
too,
of.
I think.
Oh, see, X Force. I remember.
I think I'm gonna give it. I might give it a second try.
I think I'd
Generation-
just pick up Magic and Colossus. I think that's the only one where I'm like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
curious about the relationship. I didn't really love any of them. Did it? X-23 didn't come.
No,
came
it
out?
comes out.
Okay, I
next
was like, I
week.
haven't
Yeah.
read that, right?
Yeah, it comes out tomorrow. Generation X.
Okay.
That's the one I'm curious about.
Same. Were you gonna say, Brent?
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Mm.
Literally that.
Because I'm trying to think if there was any other titles that I'm like, whoa. I mean, X-Men United comes out, so we'll see what that's all about. But yeah, there wasn't any. I don't think there's anything. I'm like, need to get that.
All right, so then let's move on to the number 4. So what was your number 4, Kat?
DCKO. We already talked about it.
Okay. What about you, Brent?
Mine was Void Rivals issue 26, and this was is it the second part of the Quintesson War? Is that what it was? It was part of the Quintesson War. Yeah.
That's interesting that Void Rivals and Transformers are in a cycle where they come out on the same week. That feels like a strange choice.
I don't know. Does it usually happen that way, Mike? I don't know if it does or not.
I don't know if it does. But it doesn't. It doesn't like
connect,
intervene at all.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
Yeah,
Completely separate story. Yeah.
Exactly.
See, but it's like even if they're separate, I feel like as a fan, like let's say you only get Transformers book, you're like, oh man, I only got this week, I only get my Transformers book, so next week I have nothing to look forward to. So that's what I mean more like if you only get Batman books, right? If Detective and Batman are coming out in the same week, it's like, oh, that's a shame. I want to look forward to something.
Feel
next
like a
week.
Transformers book though. To me,
Even though the villains in this war are Transformer characters,
yeah,
kind of funny, but yeah, it really doesn't. And even though there are Transformers in it, it still doesn't feel like a Transformers book. It's but this Derek and Salila reconnected, right? So, and the Quintessons they tried to make peace. Like, oh yeah, if you become our slaves, we won't kill you all. But if you want to fight, we'll fight. It was basically the pitch, right? So I thought that was fun, and just the battle between when it's building up to the big war between the Quintessons and both planets have to kind of team together to fight this universal threat. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like the battles that happen in this book, and I just love. I like seeing those Quintessons and just the Sharkticons and
the Sharkticons came out. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, it's a good book, man. And the interactions between those two are always been interesting. And then in the next issue, it looks like what's her name? Pythona could be the one that actually turns the tide in this war. So,
which is a G.I. Joe character. And it doesn't feel like a G.I. Joe book either. So that's crazy.
You know what's interesting? This week I went to the American Dream Mall and they have a G.I. Joe laser tag. So I was doing it.
Really?
And then which was actually really fun. And I beat everybody. So I did good. But anyways, the point being is I went with a couple of friends and I was sitting there like, I don't know anything about G.I. Joe. I'm like me either. And they're like, who's G.I. Joe? And I was like, well, I do know that there's no G.I. Joe.
A real American hero. That's who he is.
They're like, which one is G.I. Joe? And they all said it, like all 4 of them. I was just like, well, there is no G.I. Joe.
Do you know when I was younger, I thought G.I. Joe was Duke?
That makes sense though.
Right? Because he was like the leader or whatnot. So I was like, oh, G.I. Joe is Duke. Like he's the guy. The
funny thing is, in the Marvel run of the comics, I think it was in the the 80s or 90s issue run, somewhere around there. It might even be in the hundreds. But they introduced the character, the original Joe Colton,
Oh,
because
really?
yeah, they really did. Yeah, crazy.
That's
But
awesome.
no, that's the name of the group. Yeah.
Nah, I
Um.
learned that from you guys like
Yeah.
15 years ago, but I think when I also probably didn't know that GI Joe wasn't a
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. Of course. I Going back to Void Rivals for a second,
Yeah.
I also like that there are Star Wars elements to this. Like Derek is a fighter pilot, and he has his what do you call the group of fighter pilots? I forget what you call a group of fighter pilots. But anyway, he has his group of fighter pilots, and they're flying around shooting things and all that kind of stuff. So it put me in the mind of Luke Skywalker and the Rebel Alliance and all that. Too. So lots to love with Void.
Absolutely. My number 4 was DCKO also.
Mm.
So that's that. All right. So let's move on here. Let's talk about, we got 3 good books, I felt. Absolute Wonder Woman Annual, 2026, issue 1. So I like this book. I really think it gets who the character actually is, even though she's from the absolute universe, right? I just think she's very selfless, and she goes to try to help Medusa. And just seeing the artistic side of things in this book is it's brilliant. It's such a masterpiece. I know this artist was on the book earlier in the run for a
Well, this
couple
artist did
issues
the Jessica
also.
Jones stuff with Kelly
Yeah.
Thompson
Right.
back in the
Gotcha,
day. So.
gotcha.
Mathis,
So, I mean, it was a
Mhm.
beautiful story.
Deliver.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I did pick this one up. I'll say I really like the art. I think the story, the Greek god side of it all didn't make it like my top 5, but I respect the book. I won't say it's my favorite just because of just like what I enjoy in comics a little more, but I respect it a lot. I do think it's interesting, and I respect it as an annual because I think a lot of people get annuals wrong, and I think this did a good job of like, let's tell a really solid one-shot story
That's
to
that's exactly,
talk about
yeah.
the character.
And also a story that's still tied into something that happened
Yeah.
in the main book. Yeah.
Exactly.
I really like this issue too, and it surprised me quite a bit. Obviously, the art. I love this artist, so
Mhm.
I was gonna love the art regardless. But I like that Wonder Woman, and it's kind of the core of Diana. No matter what universe she's in, she's got this empathy, and when she took the form of Medusa, she felt everything Medusa was feeling. So
Yeah.
she made it kind of her life's mission. I've got to rescue her from this curse, and we see that journey. So I thought it was really touching in that way, and especially you get that close up where she looks her in the eyes, and you see the tears rolling down Medusa's face, and I
Yeah.
thought that was really touching too. So yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
And it was great to see her trade in her powers. Like she
Yeah.
trade in all of her powers just for that one power, so
Right.
she could look at Medusa into her eyes.
Yeah.
So it's great stuff. All right. So let's talk about Mark Spector Moon Knight. So this kicks off Jed McKay's 3rd volume on this
How
run.
long has this been going on? Like since Black Cat, right? This has been
He
like
has
5
been
years.
writing this
A long
book
time.
since 2021, I think.
Wow, so about 5 years. Yeah,
yeah.
that's crazy. Or
So
5 years.
this was interesting because it does continue off of the last run.
Is it new reader friendly, or do you
It
feel like
is though.
It is, yeah.
It just because all you knew in the last issue is like he got captured, right? And then he wakes up at some other place, and he's like he works in like this mailroom. And you know what this reminded me of? It reminded me of Kelly Thompson's Black Widow run, where he is in this place. He's this different person, and he's being drugged, and they're trying to get like information out of him or break him or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then by the time you wind up getting into the end of it, there's this unlikely team up that happens, and it looks like that he's breaking out of the place.
Yeah, they've got him in like a warehouse or something, and they've built like this whole office building and apartment kind of thing, and he thinks he's in all these places, but he's actually in like a mouse maze kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's totally out of his mind. But what they didn't count on is that he has multiple personalities, and they're kind of helping him kind of figure out, kind of put the missing pieces in. So I thought that was a really interesting way to play with that.
The art was good in the way they delivered the intense scene when he's like interviewing with the boss in the
Yeah.
beginning of the comic book.
Yeah.
It was just like the
He's
boss is like drilling him and he's like sweating like crazy and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like
Yeah.
it was so good right there in the beginning.
But that's how you do a comic, right? That's what's so cool from what I'm hearing with Moon Knight. Even though he's not my type of character, I love hearing that it's just like the other volumes, right? And it's continuing this story into 5-year run. Like that's really cool to see that, and obviously still be very consistent.
Absolutely, and that's why I stick with it because, like, I know I've said that Jim McKay's had his issues with like Avengers and X-Men and stuff, but he's done Black Cat really well. And Moon Knight, I think he does a great job with it. And I think he gets the character. All right. So let's move on here. And we're going to talk about Just Brutal issue.
You missed this one, Brant. This was a good one.
They didn't have it. I talked to the owner. He was like, we only ordered a couple of copies. And apparently Ignition Press books don't do
the
well
digital problem.
Shop. Yeah, so yeah, they don't do digital versions.
That sucks. I really think you would have liked it. The concept is this kid who likes filming stuff, right? Like he's just like this go-lucky kid, and he lives with his mom, and kind of like a Paul-like character, where he's just like
that's what I said.
Yeah, you're saying that. So you know, he's the boyfriend, and he's just really trying with this kid, and you see throughout the series that he has this bad relationship with his dad because he was always gone pretty much, and he was perfect, the dad. And then the sister's gone too. She's going off to college, doesn't have a good relationship with the mom, and then in the end you find that the dad's a monster hunter, the mom's like a queen from another galaxy, and the sisters are all in on it, and the main character's like, I didn't know any of this. So it's like him being like this POV character. It's really fun. It's like Dennis Hopeless at his best. Maybe Brant, you'll be able to get it on like Midtown Comics or something like that, because it's I think you would love it. I think it's written for you.
And the concept is good, but the way he wrote his characters is what makes the book, right? Like you learn about the kid. Like Kat said, he's the filmmaker and whatnot, but it's just like how he interacts with the boyfriend. He has a girlfriend, and you know how they interact with each other. Ex-girlfriend. They talk online, and they make the movies online still.
It was a fun relationship though, because it was a conversation where it's just like, why aren't we together? And he's like, oh well, we can't be because you moved and stuff like that. So it was a really interesting, like, felt very real conversation of like their breakup, which I really liked.
And I think that's what makes the book good, because it's a relatable book. It's like everyday home life. It's kind of like when Invincible first started, you know, it's similar in that tone. It definitely also has a like, again, the Spider-Woman vibe to it too, where it has that comedic relief in there every so often, you know? So it's cool.
Yeah, if you liked any of Dennis Hopeless's previous books, I think it's very similar.
I love the Spider-Woman run and Avengers Arena, and I really like Dennis Hopeless's writing, so I wanted this one bad, like, but you know, I'll definitely order it and get it later and read it before the second issue comes out.
All right, so what is number 3, Brant?
My number 3 was Moon Knight, so we already talked about it.
What about you, Kat?
Mine was Sirens Love Hurts. I thought it was unique, and it's fun to see Babs Tarr back. But again, very specific book, so it's not going to be for everybody, but it was for this fan.
Mine was actually Black Cat. So really enjoyed this book. I thought it was fun just seeing her come clean that she was Black Cat. The plot of this book was a little weird though. Like it's like,
oh, MacGuffin.
I have this audition tape, and somehow it's in the negative zone or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, really? Like that just seems weird to me. Like
their relationship works so well. You're just like, whatever brings them together, I guess.
Exactly. Like it was fun seeing them, you know, be together again. where it makes you like, oh, I want to read Mary Jane and Black Cat once again.
But I also loved her reaction to Venom in particular, because it was just like, oh man, don't change it to him like that, you know?
Yeah.
And then I love their like back and forth, because like then Black Cat's like flirting with a mermaid, and she's like, yeah, you gotta flirt with everybody. So it was just like good old times. I really wish they had a series of their own. Like I think that would be really cool to see, like we had for a little while, but this is the best the series has been, in my opinion. Because again, like you bring these two together, you're gonna have a fun time. Yeah.
I just the one thing I don't like, and I know we talk about the symbiote and stuff like that, but like, when can a symbiote form into vehicles? Like, I just can't. Like, it's like a submarine. Like, come on, guys. Like, we're having this thing do things that it could never ever do before.
That's making the suspension of disbelief work a little bit too hard.
Sure.
Right there. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Especially when you see them in the submarine, like you see them, like you don't just see the submarine, you see them within the submarine. So
it just doesn't make any sense. But besides that, the book was entertaining, and I guess you read it for those characters. Basically, that's what's going on there.
I'm sure we'll talk about Venom later, but I will actually say I thought it was better than Venom this week, even though I think Venom's art was better. But Venom, sadly, was leading into the event, so it's just like was kind of stalling. But this had a lot more meat to it.
Yeah, sure it did. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that was our number 3. So let's talk about Venom issue 254, because that's what we're going to talk about then. So we talk about it. There really wasn't that much to this book. I mean, there was a lot of like battling and action with Mary Jane versus Madame Mask in here. And then obviously the Venom and her work together to defeat, right? And then it looks like who's still there at the end? Is it Hydra? Is it AIM? It's AIM.
And then also
that's what
Carnage was the cliffhanger.
Yeah, Carnage, because that leads to the actual event there. But there really wasn't that much there to the book.
The only thing I'll give is that it is an action book, so if you're gonna have an action book, give really good art, and they did that. So
like you both said, the end with both AIM wanting to take out Madame Mask and then Eddie showing up were like the big highlight moments of the book. But other than that, it was just a big fight, which was still fun.
And I thought their banner was fun. So that's what made it like a fun issue. Is that Madame Mask like, I know who you are, like stuff like that. But it's not gonna be top 5 material.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So then let's talk about Bleeding Hearts issue 1. This was a book where I didn't know how I was gonna receive it. And this was one of those books where I was just like, okay, I don't care about this zombie kid, right, who I guess feels sorry for the victims now, and I don't know, that's kind of the way I looked at it. I was just like, I thought I might like it differently, but then at the end I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to read this 3 issues from now.
I think it depends how big my haul is, because I like the art a lot, but I think the worst timing was that you had everything dead and dying. So it's just like, well, I kind of know where it can go. And I'm just like, I kind of like that a little bit more.
Yeah. The only thing that I was curious about is because obviously his heart is beating. So is he coming back to life? Is this, is there an end to this? And is that going to make everybody turn on him? But at the same time, it's like with so many books that I read, am I going to want to keep reading this? I don't know, because I'm not as connected to these characters.
Yeah. They needed a little bit more character work. I think the world building was interesting, because obviously this is like, oh, how if we were in the zombies' point of view? But we have a lot of zombie books, especially in comics, so it's just a little harder. For me, it'll depend on the week. I really will. If I'm not getting a lot of books, I'll get issue 2. If I am getting a lot of books, I probably won't get issue 2.
I will applaud the creativity behind it, though.
Sure. And again, the art style.
Yeah, and that's what Dennis Camp does. Like, he thinks outside of the box a lot. So he's trying to do something different with a genre that's been done to death. Exactly. And again,
no pun intended.
And that's that's great, right? But at the same time, it's like, I like the old zombie genre. Like, I don't want the point of view of the zombie where it's just like, oh, I feel sorry for my victims and what happens when we eat everybody, and it's like, okay, like I don't know, just and there was a lot to that book when you read it, like a lot to it.
There was a lot of narration that didn't stick. Like there was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's kind of poignant, but it didn't, like for some reason I didn't feel it.
Forgettable.
You know? It was just, it was just forgettable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that.
All right, so then let's move on. We talked about a decent amount already, but it's Supergirl issue 10.
Just a cliffhanger I don't think we talked about. It was Superboy showed up, so I'm like, oh, I thought that was interesting.
Well, I think we're going to get a little bit more back on track with the book and where its story is kind of going a little bit. Where in the past couple issues we've been focused about like making out and hanging out with boys, and and then like the New Year's party and the and stuff like that, which is fine, but I just feel like at the same time it's just like I feel like we need Supergirl to do some Supergirl stuff too.
I think they're stalling because of DCKO though, because obviously DCKO is really going to affect Superman in particular, and from what it seems like in the solicit, Superman's probably not going to be around, so you're probably going to have Supergirl step up, especially because of the movie. So I think they're just kind of stalling because there's a lot of holiday issues, so I feel like that seems like a stall.
This next issue is going to be key for me though, because I've only read 2 issues and I liked one and I didn't love the other, so it's like if I don't like this next one,
that makes sense too. And I like this issue, like it still was my vibe, but it didn't make my top 5. It
was fine. It just, like I said, the Silver Age took it a little bit too Silver Agey for me.
No, that makes sense. I do like the art a lot for that one. One thing I want to mention, because it's not in our talking list, but I just thought I was shocked, but do you guys know Court ended and it's just like that was it?
That was it?
Like, that was it.
Yeah,
and they might have another arc, but like, there's no plans to it.
They did a final battle, and they won the final battle.
I didn't realize that was it. Wow.
Yeah, they rescued the grandma, and it's just like, hey, we're gonna celebrate. That's
crazy.
It. They left it open-ended. Yeah,
they did. They very much did leave it open-ended.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think because it's on the bubble, I think it just wasn't selling well. If I had to guess, because it just seemed like from what Tom Taylor was saying, it's like we love it. We want to do a second arc if we can. Yeah. So I just have a feeling it was too all ages, which sucks because I think we need all ages comic books, and it was a fun all ages comic book, but. That was like, I just wanted to mention it because like you just reacted to, it's ending. And then I looked it up because I was like, why does it say the end? And it doesn't look like it's continuing anytime soon.
I didn't even register that.
Yeah.
That's sad because I really did enjoy this book.
Yeah, it was fun. Because it was a palate cleanser. We always talk about it, but sometimes you need a book that's in between your DCKOs and your, Venoms. Like it's nice to have something fun like that.
Yeah.
All right, so then let's go to our number 2 then. So, Brian, what was your number 2?
Mine was Black Cat, which we already talked about.
Mine was Black Cat.
Okay. My number 2 was just brutal. Okay, so then we talked about Black Cat. Devil on My Shoulder, issue 3. I didn't get a chance to read because my shop doesn't get it, so... Curious to hear what your final thoughts are on this issue.
It's not as strong as the first issue. This issue focused on a priest for the longest time, and then she ends up killing one of the dudes, and then she's going to the main dude who's like was laughing at her, and it's just like not a lot of emotion as I expected from her and her point of view.
There was an interesting twist in this, and I don't want to spoil it, but. They didn't really give us the answer to it either, but she asks about the 5th boy, and they're like, 5th boy, you have no idea what you're getting into. So it kind of alluded to, is there a 5th boy?
I assume they were just setting up this guy who was the next person. I thought, but maybe I'm wrong.
The way I read it was it could either be in her head or it's supernatural or it could be that. So it left it a little bit mysterious as to.
Well, it's called Devil on My Shoulder too.
Exactly.
So it could, like you're saying, it could be like some supernatural thing.
Right.
I'm still going to continue to read it. I just thought this is like a good example of like having a really good issue 1. And then, so Mike, I don't think you're missing much on this one.
This was the weakest issue.
No.
Gotcha. So it's been going down at each issue ever since.
So far. Yeah, so far.
It's unfortunate.
No.
All right, so it's that time where we get to the number 1 pick of the week. Mine, you probably figured, is Transformers issue 29. So, Kat, what was yours?
Mine was Just Brutal. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, very good issue. And Brant.
Mine probably would have been Just Brutal without talking about it, but it is DCKO. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Very cool. All right. So before we close out the show, we got to do Brant's segment, which is our most anticipated.
Yeah, and so y'all made me have to switch it up this week because it was about to be just like, cookie cutter all the way through because at
The
least
books that are
one.
coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was like, well, no, I'll change it up a little bit. But yeah, we've got some big books to talk about here. I'll start with White Sky because we already talked about it a few times, which is
Yeah.
on your list, Kat.
Before it was a spec book, I was looking forward to it. So
I was too, just because
same.
the description kind of made it sound interesting, but I didn't realize it was a spec book either. So
I didn't realize it until Mike's group was talking about it, and I saw the eBay sales were going up. So I was like, oh man, that's crazy.
Interesting. So definitely have to keep our eyes on that.
It's like Dork.
Yeah, exactly. I have Wolverine Weapons of Armageddon, which we also kind of alluded to earlier in the show, just because I want to know like more about what's coming with Armageddon. I've seen, a little bit of the Captain America side. Now I want to see the Wolverine side and see what this is going to feel like. So,
and I'll say I am picking up that issue, so that's where I'm personally starting Armageddon because I wanted to start with the event. I wasn't going to really start early with Captain America, so this will be my first place with Armageddon.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one too. Like I said, this is the stuff where it needs to start to connect. It starts to build, and this is what something Marvel hasn't done in the past as of late. So build your events, make people excited about it, but hopefully the buildup is good.
Yeah, absolutely. Then my number one is also Mike's number 3, so we'll go there. G.I. Joe number
which
19.
was delayed. It was supposed to come out this week, and it's coming out next week.
Exactly.
Which again kind of makes sense with all the Skybound books that are coming out this week. So maybe they want to spread it out a little bit.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, because otherwise you'd have all 3 of them come out this week.
Yeah, Void Arrivals, Transformers, G.I. Joe.
Yeah. So we got Duke versus Hound here. G.I. Joe versus Transformer, because he finds out that Clutch has been keeping this Transformer secret, and he's got that hatred for Transformers.
Yeah, Duke is like been through some trauma ever since the first issue, where his partner, his co-pilot, wound up getting squished by Starscream. So he looks at them as all the same.
Exactly. Yeah, he doesn't know there's good and bad ones and all that stuff yet. So it's gonna be interesting to see how he reacts to.
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into those 2 big books then. We've got Absolute Batman number 17, which is Kat's number 2, Mike's number 1. This is the
Poison Ivy.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And supposedly the thing that was redacted next issue, they're also kind of showcasing in this issue, which we won't talk about. Read tomorrow's issue, but so that's gonna be fun too.
It'd be interesting to see their take on that for sure.
Super excited about this issue. I honestly, when it comes to Absolute Batman as a whole, I always look forward to it.
Yeah,
me too.
Absolutely. No pun intended. All right, so the last book we have to talk about is the one that's on all of ours. My number 2, Mike's number 2, Cat's number 1. Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 24, the last issue.
Stick the landing, man. No pun intended, but I need a good Spider-Man story, man. I need it. Please.
Let's hope, man. It's 48 pages, so it's like, can you wrap everything up that you wanted to wrap up in just one more issue? I feel like there's so much that was not finished in this story.
Yeah. And it's interesting because when you think of Ultimate Spider-Man, the ending of Peter Parker's story there, it took like 6 issues to do that, and all was building up to this kind of final battle, and it was very emotional. Here, they used up all those other issues that not really lead into this finale. So, I mean, my guess is they're just going to be like, to be continued. Someone else is going to do it. You'll see Spider-Man again. But I don't know if Hickman fans are going to be satisfied with their ending. We'll have to see. And a lot of people have stated in the comments, and I kind of agree with this, Hickman doesn't really know how to write an ending. I've never seen him write a really solid ending.
For the ending.
Yeah, exactly.
He always leaves. He's like, I'll let someone else write the ending. You know, I just like to kick things off.
I mean, you could look at it this way: the man knows his strengths and his weaknesses,
right? And he's just like, I cannot end a story. But yeah, I'm hoping for the best. Like, I'm genuinely excited to read it, and I hope I love it. You know, and it's not like one of those other anticipated books where I'm like, oh, I think it's gonna be bad, but I'm anticipating it. I'm genuinely like, I hope it's good, and I'm anticipating it.
I mean, we had such a good beginning to this book that I want this to nail it. I want it to be everything I want it to be, but at the same time, because of the recent few issues we've gotten, I've got my expectations metered a little bit. So.
I want the run to be worth it. I think that's that's the sucky part, because I think if this does not do well, I don't know if I could recommend the rest. You know?
Yeah.
I think after the whole like Craven's capture, and like you found out that Gwen was Mysterio, I think ever since that point forward, I think that's when the book started going down.
That could have been when they were announcing the end of the Ultimate Universe, though. Kind of would make sense. But I agree. I think the last good issue was when we found out the origins of Mysterio. I'll give it an issue or two after.
Right.
I think when we found out her origins, that was good. Because there was the reveal, and I think there was like another issue where
where they all sat at the table, and there was like 5 different Mysterios or whatever it was. Yeah.
That was the last good one.
Right. And I feel like that's the last.
Yeah, we just
really
had a
good
bunch
issue.
of dinner parties. Yeah.
A lot of dinner parties without Peter. I feel there's been a lot of dinner parties where he's not involved. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But
yeah, it just seemed like it was its own series, and then when it wound up connecting to everything else that's going on, that's when I feel like it's, I don't know.
Well, I know Ultimate X-Men, like I was seeing that trending, like for people who really like that series, that feels very, that came out, I think this week, and they're like, that was the final, that was the ending. So hopefully that's going to happen with Spider-Man too.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I hope so. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. We should mention that next week, I personally can't make Tuesday, so we might do a show on Monday. It depends on Mike's schedule. So if Mike can't do it, we will be doing a Tuesday show. I won't be on it. But if Mike can, we're going to try doing a Monday show because we want to talk about Ultimate Spider-Man together. And because the week after that, I'm going to be at Emerald City Comic Con. So I'm not going to be available then. So missing 2 weeks in a row, we're trying to prevent it. But if that happens, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. But hopefully it'll only be a 1 week gap.
Yeah, so keep an eye out. We'll let you know as soon as we know definitively on both channels. So
which will probably be Monday. Like we probably won't have the answer until Monday.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah, it's all up to me. It's all on me, guys. So no pressure. So that's it. And we're going to wrap up the show. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in tonight. And thank you for all your comments as well. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the comic conversation. Just wanted to wish you guys a happy new comic book day. Make sure you pick up those new comics. Don't miss out, man, because there's some good ones coming out this week. And of course, guys, make sure you subscribe to our channels, Comic Book Corner 2.0, Only Good Comics, and Comic Uno. So, guys, have a wonderful night, and we will hopefully all see you next week. Take care, guys. Good night.
Bye.